Welcome to Grade 8 Second Quarter, A Journey to Earth Science. Isang pagbati sa iyong mag-aaral ng Baitang 8. Ang video na ito ay ginawa upang tulungan kang maunawaan ang iyong mga aralin sa agham o science. Maaaring nahihirapan ka dahil sa tinatawag na modular distance learning. Kaya naman, upang mas madali mong maunawaan ang ating aralin, ang medium sa pagtuturo na aking gagamitin ay pinaghalong English at Tagalog. Let's have a science teaching with me. I am Teacher M. Just so you know, this video lesson is based on FEVOT 4A Learner's Material Quarter 2, First Edition 2020, published by the Department of Education, Region 4A, Calabarzon. Narito ang iyong dapat matutunan para sa Week 1 o ang tinatawag na Most Essential Learning Competency. Using models or illustrations, explain how movements along faults generate earthquake. Week number 1. Here are your learning tasks. Learning task number 1, multiple choice. Learning task number 2, another multiple choice. Learning task number 3, crossword puzzle. And learning task number 4, essay. Pero bago ang lahat, ihanda muna ang iyong mga distance learning starter kit. Upang malaman mo kung may alam ka sa araling ito, let's test your knowledge, try to answer the pre-test. Kung iyong mapapansin, may 4 na salita na kailangang bigyan mo ng kahulugan upang higit mong maunawaan ang ating aralin ngayon. Halika at simulan natin. Ano nga ba ang salitang tinutukoy ng unang definisyon? It occurs when the plates are pulled or pushed together. Ito ba ay stress, tectonic plates, earthquake, o kaya naman fault? Sigurado ka na ba sa stress? Sunod na definisyon, pieces of Earth's crust and uppermost mantle. Tectonic plates? Tingnan natin kung tama ang sagot mo mamaya. Pangatlong definisyon, shaking of the surface of the earth caused by a sudden slip on a fault. Ang natitirang pagpipilian, earthquake at fault, at ang iyong pinili ay earthquake. Ito ay nangangahulugan na ang sagot mo sa a break in the earth's crust on which significant movement has taken place ay fault. Alamin natin kung tama ang iyong mga sagot. Mahusay! Tama ang iyong mga sagot. Muli, pakatandaan mo ang mga salitang ito at ang kanilang kahulugan. Trivia time! Alam mo ba na ang Pilipinas ay kabilang sa mga bansang kabilang sa Pacific Ring of Fire? Maaring narinig mo na ito sa isa sa mga aralin nyo sa araling panlipunan. Tama ba? Ano nga ba ang Pacific Ring of Fire? Pacific Ring of Fire is an area around the edges of the Pacific Ocean where many volcanic eruption and earthquake occurs, which are brought about by the presence of active faults in the area. Dahil sa paliwanag na ito, maaari nating masabi na ang dahilan ng nararanasan nating paglindol ay sanhi ng lokasyon ng ating bansa. Ang paglindol o earthquake ay isang natural na phenomena kung saan nararamdaman natin ang pagyanig ng lupa. Let's try to learn more about earthquake through an activity. Okay, let's get started. Kuhanin ang inyong module at buksan sa page 6. Take time to read this article about the earthquake that happens in Luzon, entitled 5.3 magnitude quake hits Luzon, Philippines. Need some help? I will read the article for you. 5.3 magnitude quake hits Luzon, Philippines. An earthquake with a magnitude of 5.3 jolted Luzon of the Philippines on Sunday morning, the U.S. Geological Survey said. The epicenter, with a depth of 86.86 km, was initially determined to be at 14.0476 degrees north latitude and 120.525 degrees east longitude. The three widely felt earthquakes shook the Philippines today, but it's unclear if they triggered each other. The earthquake, which struck at 3:18 a.m. local time on Sunday, was centered in the sea, about 31 kilometers or 20 miles northeast of Lubang Island, or 89 kilometers or 55 miles west of Calamba and 65 kilometers or 41 miles southwest of Balanga. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, said the quake measured 5.5 and struck at a depth of 85 kilometers or 53 miles, which is relatively deep. There is no threat of a tsunami, but aftershocks are likely, according to PHIVOLCS. Shaking from the earthquake was felt across the region, including in Manila and Quezon City, where some said the tremors were strong enough to wake them. There were no immediate reports of damage or casualties. The Philippines is on the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire, an arc of fault lines circling the Pacific Basin, which are prone to frequent and large earthquakes. Volcanic eruptions also occur frequently in the region. The Philippine Daily Inquirer, Asian News Network, May 16, 2020. May naunawaan ka ba? Let's find out! Learning task number 1. Directions. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. Don't forget to write your name and answer only. What is the magnitude of earthquake took place in Manila? A. 5.2, B. 5.3, C. 5.4, or D. 5.5. Which among of the following is the safest location during an earthquake? A. Inside the house, B. Inside the car, C. In an open area, or D. Under a tree. Which agency of the government in the Philippines is monitoring the movement of the earth crust? A. PHIVOLCS, B. Pag-asa, C. DOST, or D. DENR. What will be produced if there is a sudden movement of the Earth's crust due to the release of stress accumulated along geologic faults or by volcanic activity? A. Typhoon, B. Tsunami, C. Flood, D. Earthquake. What do you call a fracture or crack between two rocks? A. Stress, B. Earthquake, C. Fault, D. Crust. Handa na ba kayo sa resulta ng inyong learning task number 1? Tingnan kung tama ang inyong mga sagot. Very good. Good work. Dahil sa mga salitang binigyan mo ng pakahulugan, maaaring mahinuha mo ng ating paksa ay tungkol sa earthquake and faults. Maaaring pamilyar ka sa salitang earthquake o lindol sa Tagalog. Ngunit alam mo ba kung ano ang kinalaman ng salitang fault sa paglindol o pagyanig ng lupa? Tara't pag-aralan natin. What is an earthquake? Bigyan natin ito ng mas malawak na definisyon. An earthquake is a sudden and violent shaking of the ground caused by a sudden slip on a fault. Dahil sa kahulugan na ito, masasabi natin na ang dahilan ng paglindol ay ang biglaang paggalaw ng isang fault. How do faults produce quakes? Upang masagot mo ang katanungang ito, panoorin natin ang susunod na video.
The surface of the earth is like a jigsaw puzzle. Yes, it's not a single piece of land, but approximately 20 pieces of a puzzle that constantly move. But you don't feel it because they move quite slowly. Each one of those puzzle pieces are called tectonic plates. So, whenever those plates hit, bump, or slide past another plate, an earthquake is caused. The surface where these plates slip is called the fault or the fault plane.
Sa videong napanood mo, mahihinuha mo na ang ating mundo ay nakabalot sa tinatawag na crust na mahalin tulad sa isang jigsaw puzzle. Ang pira-pirasong crust ay tinatawag na tectonic plates na gumagalaw sa hinang enerhiya galing sa ilalim na bahagi ng ating mundo. Pakahulugan natin ulit kung ano ang fault. A fault is a fracture or zone of fractures between two blocks of rocks. Ang fault ay ang bitak na nasa pagitan ng tectonic plates. Kapag may malakas itong paggalaw, mararamdaman natin ito at ito ang tinatawag na earthquake o lindol. How do faults produce quakes? Energy from Earth's interior makes the ground move. Friction holds the rocks together. Once the friction is overcome, the ground will move and the earthquake will occur. Earthquakes are caused when faults slip suddenly. Sa madaling salita, ang friction ang dahilan kung bakit hindi tayo palagi ang nakakaramdam ng malalakas na pagyanig ng lupa. Dahil ito ang pwersang pumipigil na gumalaw o magumpugan ang mga piraso ng bato na nakabalot sa ating mundo. Alam mo ba na may iba't ibang uri ng faults? Let's learn the types of faults. Normal fault, a deep slip fault in which the block above the fault has moved downward relative to the block below. It occurs when the hanging wall moves down relative to the footwall. Sa inyong napanood na video clip, sa normal fault, bumaba ang tinatawag na hanging wall. Ito ay pumaibaba sa footwall. Reverse fault, a deep slip fault in which the upper block above the fault plane moves up over the lower block. It occurs when the hanging wall moves up or is thrust over the footwall. Ang reverse fault naman mula sa salitang reverse ay kabaligtaran ng normal fault, kung saan tumaas ang hanging wall na pumaibabaw sa footwall. Strike slip fault, a fault on which the two blocks slide past one another. Kung iyong mapapansin, malaki ang kaibahan ng strike slip fault sa normal at reverse fault. Ang mga bloke ng bato ay gumagalaw paharap sa isa't isa. There are two types of strike slip fault, left lateral strike slip and right lateral strike slip. Left lateral strike slip, a type of strike slip fault where the left block moves towards you and the right block moves away. Right lateral strike slip, a type of a strike slip fault where the right block moves towards you and the left block moves away. Ano nga ba ang pagkakaiba ng dalawang uri ng strike slip fault? Kapag gumalaw ang left block papunta sa iyo at tumayo naman ang right block, left lateral ang tawag nito. Sa right lateral strike slip naman, gagalaw ang right block papunta sa iyo at lalayo naman ang left block. You have learned the different types of fault, but do you know how faults were formed? Maaaring pamilyar ka sa salitang stress, pero alam mo ba na may ugnay din ang salitang ito sa ating mundo? Tulad ng faults, mayroon ding iba't ibang uri ng stress. When the plates are pulled or pushed together, stress occurs. There are 4 types of stresses affect the Earth's crust. Number 1, compression. 2, tension. 3, shear. And the last, 4, confining stress. Compression stress, a type of stress that causes the rocks to push or squeeze. The force of compression can push rocks together or cause the edges of each plate colliding to rise. Mountains are a result of high-impact compression stress caused when 2 plates collided. Masasabi natin na ang stress na nakakaapekto sa ating mundo ay sanhi ng puwersang tumutulak at humihila sa mga tectonic plate. Ang mga bundok kagaya ng Mount Marami at Mount Pico de Loro na matatagpuan sa Cavite ay maaaring resulta ng compression stress. Tension stress, opposite of compression. While compression forces the rocks, tension forces cause the rocks to fall apart. Ang tension stress naman ang kabaliktaran ng compression stress na kung saan may puwersang humihila sa dalawang magkasalungat na bahagi ng malaking tipak ng bato na dahilan upang lumapad ito. Kung inyong matatandaan, ang Pangaea na nababanggit sa inyong araling panlipunan ay ang konsepto na ang lahat ng lupa sa mundo ay dating magkakadikit, na bumubuo lamang sa isang napakalaking kontinente. Ngunit dahil sa paggalaw ng mga continental plates sa ng tension stress, pinaniniwalaan na ang mga kontinente ay naghiwa-hiwalay at nahati sa 7 kontinente. Shear stress. Shear stress usually happens when 2 plates rub against each other as they move in opposite directions. The friction of a shear stress at the edges of the plate can cause earthquake. Ang shear stress naman ay nangyayari kapag may dalawang continental plates na gumalaw sa magkasalungat na direksyon. Maaaring nakikita nyo dito ang strike-slip fault. Confining stress. When stress is applied to all sides of the crust, confining stress occurs. When this happens, the crust compacts, which makes it look smaller. If the stress is too much for the crust to handle, the crust can fracture from the inside. Because this type of stress can hollow out the insides of the crust, confining stress can cause sinkholes in the earth. Confining stress naman ang tawag kapag may puwersang tumutulak sa lahat ng gilid ng continental plates. Kung masyadong malakas ang puwersa, ito ang magiging dahilan ng pagnipis o pagkasira ng pinakaloob ng crust, dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng mga sinkholes. Maaaring narinig nyo na sa mga balita ang sinkholes na ito. Maging sa ilalim ng tubig ay maaaring magkaroon ng sinkhole. Sa maikling video clip na inyong mapapanood, malalaman nyo ang kaugnayan ng stress sa faults. Handa ka na ba para sa learning task number 2? Learning task number 2. Directions. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. Don't forget to write your name and answer only. Which of the following faults occurs where the hanging wall moves up or is thrust over the footwall? A. Normal fault. B. Reverse fault. C. Strike-slip fault. Or D. Stress fault. Which fault is characterized on which the 2 blocks slide past one another? A. Normal fault. B. Reverse fault. C. Strike-slip fault. Or D. Active fault. What type of stress causes the formation of mountains? A. Shear stress. B. Confining stress. C. tension stress, or D. compression stress. Pangea break off into 7 continents. What could be the probable cause of this event? A. shear stress, B. confining stress, C. tension stress, or D. compression stress. Friction between the two sides of a fault keeps it from moving until the stress on the fault overcomes the friction. Then the fault slips and creates an earthquake. Is it A. true, B. false, C. maybe both, or D. it depends on the situation? Magaling! May natutunan ka talaga. Alam kong nais mo pa ng isa pang gawain upang subukan ang iyong kaalaman. Let's do another activity on page 10 of your module. Pero bago ang lahat, let me give you an idea on what to do in your learning task number 3. It's her turn. Learning task number 3. Directions. Answer the puzzle. Use the clues given on the table. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. Tandaan, huwag kalimutan ang inyong pangalan. No need to copy the crossword puzzle. Answer only. Across. 1. Sudden slip on a fault. 2. Happens when two plates rub against each other as they move in opposite directions. 5. Block above the fault has moved downward relative to the block below. 6. Causes the rocks to push or squeeze against one another. 8. Fault on which the two blocks slide past one another. 9. Force between the two sides of a fault that keeps it from moving. Down. Number 3. Fault in which the upper block above the fault plane moves up and over the lower block. 4. Forces the rocks to fall apart. 7. Zone of fractures between two blocks of rock. 10. When stress is applied to all sides of the crust. Magaling! May natutunan ka talaga. Finally, here is your last activity. Learning task number 4. Create a 5-sentence paragraph on the statement below stating your reactions on it. Write your answer in a sheet of paper. Earthquakes are destructive to human lives. Maaaring isulat ito sa likod ng iyong sagutang papel. Huwag kalimutan ang inyong pangalan. Remember, an earthquake is a sudden and violent shaking of the ground caused by a sudden slip on a fault. Fault is a fracture or zone of fractures between two blocks of rocks. There are 3 types of faults, namely normal fault, reverse fault, and strike slip fault. 4 types of stresses affect the Earth's crust: compression, tension, shear, and confining stress. Thank you for watching. Till we meet again.